Is there any chance, Prime Minister, of your agreeing to the kind of Brexit that Nigel Farage wants to dissuade him from running candidates against you?
Well, what we've got is a fantastic deal that nobody thought we could get. It delivers everything that people wanted from the Brexit referendum, so we're taking back control of our money, borders and laws, plus the whole of the UK coming out able to do proper free trade deals. And the better thing, even better, after 3.5 years, it's a deal that Parliament has actually said is a good deal, though they then refused, I'm afraid, to implement it. So that deal is, as it were, ready to go. It's there, it's oven ready. We can, as soon as we get back in the middle of December, we can put that deal through. And the problem with voting for any other party is that the risk is you get Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party. And I'm afraid that their programme is totally mystifying. They want to have another negotiation lasting months and months and months. Then, depending on the result of that negotiation, they want to have another referendum, which Mr Corbyn may decide to campaign against his own deal. And now, the reason we need to get on and get Brexit done, and the reason we need to push this deal through now, and the reason for an election is basically because we cannot go on with this delay and this uncertainty. And so that's why I'm so absolutely emphatic that we need to push this thing through in the middle of December. It's ready to go. Parliament, as you know, came very close to getting it over the line, and they said it was a good deal, but unfortunately they then voted not to implement that deal. And people said, oh, well, come on, you should work with MPs and you should try and get them to ratify it in the next few months. But I promise they wouldn't have done it.
They didn't say a few months, Prime Minister.
They would not have done it. And it was perfectly obvious that if they were going to get the thing done, then they would have voted for the programme motion.
Oh, come on. Some of your own colleagues say that this is a pragmatic thing that you're doing, that it's the best platform for you is to campaign for your deal, and you had no interest in getting it through Parliament.
Believe me, if we could have got that thing through Parliament, it would have been a fantastic thing. A fantastic thing. But no bill has ever gone through when you lose the programme motion. Parliament voted for delay after delay after delay.
So and if you remember, me that it's better for you to be campaigning on delivering Brexit rather than after.
No, of course Brexit. It was. Of course,
because, after Brexit, people would look at schools and hospitals, and
of course,
they might say, "Let's be clear, what Labour has to say is much more interesting."
No, on the contrary, I think it'd be fantastic to be able to have got Brexit completely done, and then to be taking our story to the country. And what we have is a fantastic story to tell.
But you can see Labour talking about you selling off the NHS, and people are listening, aren't they?
In the last 100 days, look at what we have done. And people say, look at what I can do and what I say I'm going to do and what I'm going to do. We've delivered on our promise, on our pledge to recruit 20,000 more police officers. That is now happening. I was actually at the Met last night talking to new recruits that are coming on stream as a result of the commitments we've made. We're committed, as you know, to upgrading 20 new hospitals, building 40 more hospitals in this country as a result of the commitments we've made. We're lifting up funding.
You're only starting on 6 hospitals.
We're lifting up funding. We're starting on 6, but we're committed to 40, and we're lifting up funding for every primary and every secondary school in this country. We've got a £5 billion programme for gigabit broadband across the country. We've got a fantastic infrastructure revolution going on, not just Northern Powerhouse Rail, but committing to what's happening in the metro system in the West Midlands as well, saying nothing of the fantastic programme that we have for improving our roads. Plus, we are, of course, lifting up the living wage by the biggest amount in memory. Plus, Robert, we have a deal. And we have a deal that, as I say, Parliament has said is a good deal, but which Parliament has refused to implement. And so now is the moment to push this thing over the line. And I just answer you get back to your first question. You vote for any other party, the risk is you have dither and delay. And I really don't think that is in the interests of this country anymore.
You mentioned the 100 days. There's two things. One is, on schools, where you are promising to increase funding, it still only takes us back to where funding per pupil was when David Cameron became Prime Minister in 2010. But on the 100 days, the thing that people most associate you with is promising to get us out of the EU last night. It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
And I bitterly regret that Parliament, as I say, voted not to implement the deal that they approved.
You shouldn't have promised it in the first place. Well, you knew it was never going to be delivered.
No, on the contrary, what people said, actually, Robin, and possibly even yourself, was that we'd never get a good New Deal. People said that we'd never reopen the withdrawal agreement. They said we'd never get a fantastic deal that enabled us to come out of the customs union, out of the single market in the way that we have, to keep the whole United Kingdom together in the way that we have. People, and I don't think anybody thought that we would get a deal that MPs across Parliament came together to approve, and yet they did. The problem was that in the end, Mr Corbyn and the Labour Party and all the rest of them decided that it would be tactically better to vote for delay again. And the problem is that they would keep voting for delay.
But I do have to say, but your leadership rival, Jeremy Hunt, predicted this would happen during the leadership campaign. He said it was wrong to make this hard commitment to 31st. Did you just want to say, well done, Jeremy?
No, because, I'm a great fan of Jeremy Hunt, of course, but the reality is that Parliament had it in its hands to deliver this agreement. Don't forget that they had time up to today, up to the 31st to do it, up to last night to do it. They had bags of time to do it. And even after they'd thrown out the deal, thrown out the timetable, I offered more time, and it was perfectly obvious they didn't want to do it at any price. And that was why this blockade of a Parliament needs to be changed, and we need to refresh it. And so when we come back in the middle of December,
if
I'm lucky enough to win, and so of course it's a very big if we come back in December with a new Parliament, refreshed, we have a deal that is ready to go. Okay, and that is a massive advantage on the position we've been in the last 3.5 years.
Listening to this will understand your point. You made it a number of times. Donald Trump wants you, he's your friend, the American president, wants you to form an alliance with Nigel Farage.
Well, it's very, very important to have great relations with the United States of America, and so indeed this country does. We have great relations with the White House, and of course we will continue to do that.
Are you going to ask him to stop giving you that advice?
I may respectfully say to all our friends around the world, as I said to you just now, Robert, that the only way to get this thing done is to vote for us, vote for this government, because unfortunately, as I tried to point out, if you vote for any other party, the risk is you'll just get Jeremy Corbyn, the Labour Party, dither and delay, not just one referendum next year, but 2 referendums. One on the EU, more the toxic, tedious torpor of another referendum on the EU, plus a referendum on breaking up the union between in the UK, between England and Scotland. What a catastrophic menu for next year. What a terrible way of thinking about the year to come. Our opportunity now is to get this thing done, come back in the middle of December, knock it over the line, and then take the country forward. I think what people want to do next year is look at all the ways in which we can unite and level up our country, which we're going to do through better education, better infrastructure, and new technology. That's our plan for the country.
There's one other very important point that I've got to put to you.
And it's the economy. And the reason it is, and let me
have to allow me one other point.
And and I knew you were thinking of it, Robert.
I'm always thinking of the economy.
It's the economy, and the way we're going to pay for better education and better infrastructure and fantastic technology, all the things I've talked about, is by ensuring that we have a dynamic market economy. And that would be destroyed by Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party. And it is vital to remember.
I promise you, but I have got to ask you one more question, because it's on so many people's minds. As you know, you talked about a so-called toxic referendum, but people really worry about what they see as the toxicity, the venom that has entered politics. There are women MPs who've been told by the police that they dare not go out at night on their own without security protection. What are you going to do to make sure that this is an election fought in the British tradition of respect and courtesy, and not nastiness and abuse?
Well, I totally deplore abuse and threats towards anybody, particularly obviously female MPs and anybody who feels vulnerable. And I take that, and I've taken that view all the time I've served in politics, because when I was running TfL or any of the services in London, the thing I hated more than almost anything else was abuse directed at our staff, at people who engage with the public in any way. And so I don't think that.
So I don't think MPs.
I don't think MPs.
Do you think about the language
I don't think that MPs should be.
When you're campaigning, are you now thinking about the language you're using?
And I don't think MPs should be subjected to abuse or intimidation any more than somebody who works in A&E or somebody who works on public transport. There should be basically zero tolerance for protection of people who work in public services in any kind. And I'm afraid I think that goes for MPs as well, particularly for female MPs. And we are taking a lot of steps to ensure that is the case.
Prime Minister, very good.